But
Sure.
as of now, America and Israel have jointly attacked Iran. So the key question is how Iran will retaliate. Iran will be able to send missiles and drones, which will not be interrupted. And where will they send it? To Israel, to American bases in the GCC. Well, Pakistan leadership would love to get involved and to be by America's side. But I think there will be a lot of opposition. The first lesson we have to learn is that never take President Trump's negotiations seriously, because in this case, he was giving time for the Pentagon to have the military assets closer and closer to Iran. Did Prime Minister Netanyahu share his plans with Prime Minister Modi, his very, very close friend? And did Netanyahu decide on the dates of Indian Prime Minister's visit, taking into account the planned attack on Iran?
What does all that connote, sir? Are we basically, not directly, but possibly indirectly, telling the world that we are fighting is Israel full-time on this one?
Absolutely, because don't forget that Prime Minister Modi also used the phrase the Palestine issue. When he used the words Palestine issue, Prime Minister Modi was deviating from the repeatedly expressed official stand of India. President Trump's family business has a much interest in Pakistan. And therefore, there is a soft corner on Trump's part towards Pakistan.
What is going to be the future of India? Is India going to regret this decision of Mr. Narendra Modi of going and saying we are permanently supporting Israel?
I will put it this way, this is not a sustainable position. Whether it is Prime Minister Modi or another person, it is not a sustainable decision.
Namaskar, sir. Welcome to the program. Now, Israel has claimed that it has attacked Iran. Not only attacked Iran, it has attacked Iran near places near the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini's residence. What exactly happened, sir, and why this attack now? And what is going to happen next, sir?
Well, the attack has started, and they have attacked not only in Tehran, Tabriz, Isfahan, and many other places. And videos are coming on BBC and elsewhere. Now, what is strange is that negotiations are going on between Iran and the United States, mediated by, or rather facilitated by Oman. And the next round was going to happen very soon, with Iranian technical team going to IAEA headquarters in Vienna. So the first lesson we have to learn is that never take President Trump's negotiations seriously, because in this case, he was giving time for the Pentagon to have the military assets closer and closer to Iran, and he was also giving time to Israel, and Israel has clearly stated that this was in the planning for months and that it had agreed with the United States about the date. Now, there I have a question. Prime Minister Modi was in Israel and he has just returned. Question: did Prime Minister Netanyahu share his plans with Prime Minister Modi, his very, very close friend? And did Netanyahu decide on the dates of Indian Prime Minister's visit, taking into account the planned attack on Iran? So, now the question is, how is it going to affect us in India and the rest of the world? And how Iran will retaliate?
Absolutely. I will come to all those questions, sir. But the first question I want to ask is, I was actually going to, you preempted that question. What was all this negotiation with Trump all about? What was all this discussion with Trump all about? And if this is how Trump is going to openly kind of, breach negotiations and trust between two countries, when you are negotiating at one end and the other end, your partners are attacking the country, what exactly is the future?
No, Trump, the negotiations were a farce. Trump
Correct.
was not sincere. And that, as I said, everyone, not only Iran, others also negotiating with Trump have to take that into account.
Correct. So, sir, now let us come to the India side of it. The recent visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the kind of welcome that Prime Minister Narendra Modi got, whatever Netanyahu said in his visit, and the kind of words that were exchanged, fatherland and motherland and brothers and sisters and all of that, the kind of the words that were exchanged, what does all that connote, sir? Are we basically, not directly, but possibly indirectly, telling the world that we are fighting is Israel full time on this one?
Absolutely, because don't forget that Prime Minister Modi also used the phrase the Palestine issue. When he
Correct.
said, when he used the words Palestine issue, Prime Minister Modi was deviating from the repeatedly expressed official stand of India. And don't forget, in Delhi, we have had a Palestinian embassy years before the Israeli embassy came.
Yes. Yes.
You see, and Prime Minister Modi's failure to assert clearly that India stood for a two-state solution, that was, what shall I say, most regrettable.
Sir, I want to ask you a technical question as a diplomat. Sir, does diplomacy and diplomatic stand and foreign policy, do they change according to the ideology? Or normally that is permanent and ideology comes and go?
Let me put it this way. In textbooks, you will read that national interest decides, is the basis for, foreign policy. Correct? All
Yes.
political science textbooks will tell you. But then the
Yes.
deeper question is, who decides what the national interest is? And quite often, the ruling establishment identifies the national interest with its own interests.
Correct. Correct.
And if you want an example, Japan, Imperial Japan, before the Second World War, decided on that project, East Asia Prosperity Project. Remember?
Yes.
And
Yes.
started attacking Manchuria and all that. And the people of Japan supported it because it was in the national interest. And how did it end up? With Nagasaki and Hiroshima and American occupation.
Correct.
So the national interest can be misidentified deliberately by the ruling establishment, and it can lead to disaster.
Sir, where do you see our the couple of days back our stance in the Israel-Palestine issue? Where do you think is putting us now? What is our future?
No, India has made it very plain to the rest of the world that, as Prime Minister Modi put it, we stand fully, totally with you now and forever. You see,
Correct.
that is the stand of government of India.
But it was not the stand before, sir. This is a
As I said,
recent development.
I wouldn't put it as recent development. We were moving in that direction. And you know that the other day at the United Nations, 80 countries came out with a statement condemning Israel's annexation of the West Bank. Initially, India refused to agree, to sign up. But when the numbers mounted, when it was going to be 100 signatories, India also signed it. So, in
Correct.
other words, India did it under pressure. So, whenever India has voted or abstained from a motion in regard to this matter, a motion which was, sort of critical of Israel, that is all, sort of play acting. India's heart is with Israel. India's meaning Prime Minister Modi's heart is with
Israel.
Netanyahu. Netanyahu.
Sir, policies normally are we kind of are our foreign policies knee jerk? Because that's what one sees in the recent past. Most of the foreign policies were knee jerk. One day we are hugging Trump. The next day Trump is kind of going out and I have repeated that many a time. So yeah, you understood my questions.
Yes, I wouldn't say it is knee-jerk. In the case of Israel, I think it has been a consistent pattern. Now, as regards Trump, I would put it this way. You see, our problems with Trump started for two reasons. One, as I have said earlier, Trump put pressure on Pakistan to ask for a ceasefire when Sindoor was on. And India did not acknowledge Trump's contribution. Okay, and Trump was upset with his Nobel Peace Prize ambitions and all that. Second, President Trump's family business has a much interest in Pakistan. And therefore, there is a soft corner on Trump's part towards Pakistan. That also affects his policy towards India. And mind you, when he put tariffs on India, because India was buying oil from Russia, it didn't make any sense. America itself was importing fertilizer and whatnot, you see, and European Union was importing, and China was importing,
Yes.
Turkey was importing, but India was the only one that was, punished, so to say.
China was also punished, sir. China was also
later. That is when they said those two companies cannot import. Were sanctioned. The two Russian companies.
Correct.
Yeah.
So tell me, sir. In that case, now what is going to be the future of India? Is India going to regret this decision of Mr. Narendra Modi of going and saying we are permanently supporting Israel?
I will put it this way. This is not a sustainable position. Whether it is Prime Minister Modi or another person, it is not a sustainable decision because this will cause many problems for India. In any case, it is an incorrect decision. After all, there has to be some consistency. You see? So, and also as a leader of the global South, India's standing is not going to be enhanced by India's total support to Israel.
So tell me, from a pure non-aligned perspective, which is what we were supposed to be, we were a non-aligned nation. Now, from a non-aligned perspective, have we changed our stance completely? I mean, is non-aligned a forgotten story?
But non-aligned is passé. It's no longer there. Non-aligned position made sense when there was a Cold War. The Cold War collapsed with the collapse of the Soviet Union, 1990-91. Then we had a brief period of unipolarity. Then President Bush started his war on Iraq, claiming that Iraq had nuclear weapons, WMD, which, as I said, the correct expansion is not weapons of mass destruction, but weapons of mass deception. And America's public debt went up. So that was a brief moment of unipolarity. Now, world is moving towards multipolarity, but nevertheless, it has not reached there because America is able to do what it wants, whether it is Venezuela, whether it is Iran, and even the plan, with Greenland, and also what America is doing to Cuba. All this shows that America is behaving in a manner determined to destroy international law and international norms.
That takes me to my next question, sir. Sir, this Prime Minister Modi's visit to Israel, was it under pressure from America, or was it, as a lot of people say, to please Trump?
I will put it slightly differently. My belief is that, let me ask you, how many heads of government go to Israel these days?
I beg your pardon, sir.
How many heads of government go to Israel these days?
Absolutely nobody, literally.
Does anyone from Western Europe go there? No.
No.
So, in my view, it was a personal favor from Prime Minister Modi to Prime Minister Netanyahu, who is facing corruption charges, who is asking pardon from the Israeli president without admitting any wrongdoing. After all, you can ask pardon only if you say that you have done something wrong. Otherwise, how can you be pardoned if you're innocent?
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
And he's also facing an election.
Correct.
And for Netanyahu, this war on Iran is, what shall I say, is part of his planning.
Correct.
Now the corruption proceedings against him will again slow down.
Mm-hmm. So that's a way. Sir, tell me, is Netanyahu the way to Trump's heart? Is that how it works? International politics?
There may be a little bit of that, though we don't know the details. Netanyahu will certainly would have promised that he will do his best, but more details we do not know. We can only guess.
Sir, what will be the backlash from Islamic nations on India?
Well, Islamic nations, there had been signals from some of the GCC countries, that they are very upset. Not that their governments will say that, but the civil society and even the corporate sector.
Correct. And what this current Modi visit to Israel, what does it do to our image?
It doesn't enhance our reputation as the leader of the global South, and also it doesn't enhance our reputation for maintaining a responsible, consistent foreign policy, taking into account the rights and wrongs.
Correct. So, where do you see this going, sir? Will there be a full-fledged war between Israel and Iran, and obviously at some point America joining in? And if America joins in, then can America join in without the help of Pakistan? And then if Pakistan goes in, then where is all this Israel and Yehudi and Islam and all this that Pakistan talks about? What exactly happens from here on?
Okay, I'll come to Pakistan in a moment. But
Sure.
As of now, America and Israel have jointly attacked Iran. So the key question is how Iran will retaliate. You know that in June last year, Iran had used missiles or drones against the American base in Doha. And the air defense which the American base had could not interrupt the missiles.
Correct.
Now, we understand that since then, America has strengthened the air defense system for all its bases in the Gulf. Nevertheless, it is reasonable to expect that Iran will be able to send missiles and drones which will not be interrupted. And where will they send it? To Israel, to American bases in the GCC, and to oil installations. And Iran is also likely to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, through which passes about 25% of oil exports.
Correct.
And the Houthis are likely to blockade the Red Sea entrance towards the Suez Canal.
Mhm.
Okay, so global trade is going to be affected in a big way. Oil prices will shoot up. Not good for India, nor for the other countries, and not even for President Trump.
Correct.
And imagine one or two body bags reaching the United States. That will also hurt President Trump politically. Of
Correct.
course, America has withdrawn a certain number of its forces from the bases. In fact, why did America have to send a second aircraft carrier? Because the Gulf countries had publicly told America that America cannot use the bases on their soil. Now, whether the countries are able to stand up to America and enforce it, that's a different matter, because I have seen some reports saying that America has been using its air base, its space in Saudi Arabia
Correct.
for, landing aircraft and this and that. Okay. And all told, America's reputation as a reliable partner, whether while conducting diplomatic negotiations or otherwise, that reputation has crashed.
Correct. 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 Sir, my question again is: will America be able to pull this through without the help of Pakistan?
Well, coming to Pakistan, Pakistan leadership would love to get involved and to be by America's side. But I think there will be a lot of opposition. And when you say what sort of help can Pakistan give? And America doesn't need any military help from Pakistan, nor does America need any sort of, other facilities there. America has enough F-35s, F-16s, and all that. Those two aircraft carriers, they have it. But in the case of Pakistan, America was looking forward, or is looking forward to Pakistani troops in Gaza. But I do not think Pakistan has announced that it is going to send any troops.
It may or it may not, but sir, but if it's asked to send troops, or if they want to use their base, like you rightly said, most of the Islamic countries won't allow their base to be used, at least as of now. Tomorrow one doesn't know. I completely agree to you. But supposing at some point, if America chooses to use Pakistan base, for instance, so in that case, sir, the question is then, will Pakistan allow? And if Pakistan allows, what will be the internal reaction of Pakistanis? I mean, you're ending up going against your own religion in a way.
Yeah, in fact, if Pakistan agrees, there will be strong resistance from the Pakistani people, from the public opinion.
Correct. Correct. And would that definitely will have large ramifications on the Pakistani both democratic power and the military power, I guess. So that's
there is no democratic power there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just trying to be polite.
Pakistan, as I have told you more than once, is an occupied country, occupied by its own army.
Yes, Azim Munir occupies it. So yeah, absolutely. I was trying to be polite, but yeah, I mean, I thought, since there is a gentleman who goes around as prime minister, one should give him that this thing. Sir, my last question on this particular front, and then I want to ask you one slightly different question, which like I normally do. Sir, my last question in this topic is, how is India going to affect economically? Of course, there'll be oil price hike, and since we are not buying from Russia now, it will affect us more. This is first. I understand that. What else is going to happen, sir?
Well, not only the price of oil, but the global trade will be affected. if you can't go through the Red Sea, if you cannot access the Suez Canal. And also, don't forget, in a situation like this, piracy also in the region will increase. You know that Indian Navy had taken action against some of the pirates, So then, of course, well, the gold price might go up because, whenever there is war, people
Gold prices go
who
up.
have the money, they go and buy gold. But that is it is not a serious matter for us. But oil will certainly is a serious matter, and above all, the security of the 9 million Indians in the Gulf is a matter of great concern for us. And we have a couple of thousand Indians in Iran.
Yes,
they have not come back. In fact, one or two Western embassies had advised their citizens to leave yesterday or day
So
before
did ours,
yesterday.
sir. So did ours. Even
No,
our
my
embassy
point is, well, that is true, but it's a question of flights. You can advise, but suppose there is no flight.
Correct. Sorry, you were saying, sir.
No, so what I'm trying to say is that the world has entered a very dangerous phase.
Correct.
Thanks primarily to Trump, because
Absolutely.
Netanyahu, of course, is also responsible, but it is primarily Trump who is responsible. Without his green signal, Netanyahu will not do any such thing. And Trump is the only one who could have stopped Netanyahu.
Absolutely. And wouldn't that be the same to even Afghanistan, Pakistan? Now, Pakistan says it says it's a full-fledged war.
Well, on Afghanistan, Pakistan, I have a feeling Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey, they might get together and ask these two belligerents to stop it. Because basically, don't forget, in the case of Afghanistan, in 2021, the Taliban came back to power. And at that time, ISI, Inter-Service Intelligence of Pakistan, was acting as the mentor to the Taliban. Then somehow that relationship broke down. And I take it must have broken down because the ISI must have behaved in an arrogant way. And the proud Afghans said, enough is enough. Then, of course, there's the Durand line, which separates the Pashtuns on either side. And naturally, the Pashtuns don't respect the Durand line, which is about 2,600 odd kilometers long, mainly mountainous. You know what I mean? And also, another thing is that there is a Pakistani Taliban, which is fighting Islamabad. Well, naturally, the Pakistani Taliban gets some support from the Afghan Taliban.
Correct.
Of course, Pakistan is a bigger military power. It has got the air force and all that. But nevertheless, Afghanistan can also retaliate. And in any case, my guess is that Saudi Arabia, which has got a defense alliance with Pakistan, will tell Pakistan to stop it. And Trump also can step in. And to add to his peace,
one more war,
Nobel Peace Prize credentials.
One is. Sir, my last question. I've got 3 more minutes of your time. So I want to ask one last question. Sir, this question doesn't relate to the topic. It is out of the syllabus. So you can choose not to answer it, but I still would like to ask you. Sir, you've been a senior bureaucrat. You've been in few of the most complicated geopolitical situations in the world. Sir, tell me, sir, as a senior diplomat, would you ever relate or would you ever connect to a convicted criminal, a convicted pedophile, somebody like Epstein, would you ever connect to get work done? Does it happen in foreign policy? It doesn't happen in foreign services. Is it fair? Is it ethically correct?
If I put it this way, naturally the diplomat, whether Indian or not, will be tempted to get to know people in power or people who can influence those in power.
Correct.
That is there. But we are all supposed to act with discretion and judgment. And if anyone acts with judgment, that person would not have been consorting with a man like Epstein.
Correct.
So some of those people who have consorted have temporarily abandoned their good judgment.
Correct. Sir, my last question to end this is, if it was somebody who's working under you, if I was saying, sir, if it was somebody working under you, would you initiate relieving that person from duty?
Well, if a first secretary working under me when I am ambassador, I would have certainly taken action.
You would have, which means technically, if one believes that it's ethically, morally, absolutely wrong, that's not really.
No, not only ethically, morally wrong, it was also dangerous because that guy was taking your videos right and left.
Correct. Correct.
With an intent to make use of it.
Absolutely.
So
You're putting the country into pain.
Walking into the trap does not show much judgment.
Correct. Sir, thank you so much. As always, 30 minutes, and we ended this. Thank you. And thank you for removing this time. Thank you so much, sir.